Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled HOA attempted to tow a disabled veteran's car for having illegal stickers and threatened $50 daily fines. Hey there y'all, I wanted to share my story about the issues I had with my HOA this year. Let me start by saying that I had not had very many problems with my condo's governing body in the 5 years I had resided there. I should have known better anyway with all the things I have heard, plus who wants another group of people telling you what to do? Anyway, I made my mistake and I am living with it. Like I said, I think I had a warning once when I left my truck in the driveway overnight and not in the garage. It was only because I had a project I was working on. I pride myself on being a crafty SOB and enjoy carpentry. I was building my granddaughter a rocking chair because she was expecting my first great-grandson. I had the chair outside and was staining it and needed room for the tarp and whatnot, and it had to dry, so I left my truck in the driveway overnight. Anyway, that was years ago and I've never had any issues since, until this year. My daughter put a bunch of bumper stickers and silly stuff for my new truck in my Christmas stocking. 3 decals that were honoring my time spent in the military. One just says Semper Fi and the other 2 are just Vietnam vet and proud Marine. I served in Vietnam a long time ago and remained in active duty for 17 years after that. Yeah, it's true, I'm an old man, but I'm still going pretty strong for being in my 70s. I am proud of my military background. I owe a lot of who I am to the military and those that I served with. I was quick to apply my new and proud bumper stickers, not thinking for a second that they would be the cause of so much drama. It was a few months later, maybe around March, when all the trouble began. I know exactly who it is that started this mess too. The HOA board president lives about 4 doors down from me, and these are condos, so the homes are relatively close together. I don't know if he just got sick of looking at my bumper stickers or what happened, but all of a sudden I received this letter from the HOA threatening to tow my car and a daily fine of $50 if I don't remove or cover up the bumper stickers and decals. Some nonsense about them being illegal and against neighborhood policy, specifically stating that they were advertisements, which is what makes it against the rules. I was pretty shocked by this. I felt like it was abrupt and ridiculous that they did not bother to come and talk to me personally about the bumper stickers if they were some kind of problem. Also, the car is in a garage anytime I am home, so I'm not sure why this is an issue. I'm pretty pissed, to be totally honest, guys. I have lived in the neighborhood for a while and have formed relationships with a lot of the residents. I started talking with them about the threatening letter. They all agreed that it is utter BS and they want to help do something about it. My friends Jean and Tom decide that they want to write to the local newspaper and news station to shame the HOA. I also think that it will put pressure on them to answer for their nonsensical reasoning behind wanting me to remove some military pride bumper stickers. There were several residents that also wrote letters to the board stating that they don't believe that the stickers are advertisements and that they think they should be allowed. My history with the Marines is part of who I am after all. Why do they think this is some form of business advertisement? The only thing that makes sense is that they simply just don't like them. Maybe they think they appear tacky, or perhaps they just don't like the military. I also still believe it is the HOA board president making trouble. I caught him rolling by slowly one day a few weeks before the letter when I had the truck in the driveway and was working on another project in the garage. Another letter came later that week stating that this was the final warning and that the truck would be removed from the premises until the decals were taken off or covered up. Not to mention the fines that I had racked up at this point. I honestly cannot believe it. What are they going to do if my car is in my garage anyway? This is so bizarre and controlling and bad that I'm almost speechless. I called Jean and Tom to vent and they were completely shocked as well. Really? Just gonna tow the car because of some bumper stickers when I'm on my own property? Jean called the news station almost immediately. I could hear her telling them the story while Tom and I were still talking on the phone. It seemed like they were interested in my story. I would not imagine that it would be newsworthy, but apparently it is. The next day we had a crew over that was interviewing us and scoping the neighborhood. The crewman mentioned that there were other properties that had political or some other kind of bumper sticker on their cars. Ones that are similar enough to mine that they could easily be considered advertisements like mine. They interviewed several neighbors that were willing to come and talk. All of them said nice things about me and agreed that my bumper stickers should be allowed. Tom said that he managed to contact another one of the board members named Jeremiah and convinced him to come and speak with the news crew. During his interview, Jeremiah mentioned that he had not heard anything about my letters or threats and that he wanted to look into the situation. That made me feel pretty good. Maybe there was someone that would be on my side on the board. Thankfully, all of the work Jean and Tom did not go to waste. It was long after the news story aired publicly that there was a ton of buzz about the situation. Only a few days passed before I was pleasantly surprised by a different kind of HOA letter. They actually apologized and said that there was a miscommunication about policy and that things would be changed soon. There was also a note at the bottom that said that there was a recent change in board member presidents and that there would be no more issues circulating around bumper stickers. Jeremiah ended up signing the letter personally, and I found out a few weeks later that he became the new HOA president. This was great news. Jeremiah is a genuinely great guy and has done a lot of good with the association since he took over. Now people are allowed to have Christmas decoration up. Yeah, the old president hated them, what a Grinch, and we have a block party cookout every quarter. I've been allowed to keep my bumper stickers and have actually added some new ones to the collection, throwing a few on there about being a great grandpa, the jersey number of my grandson who plays football in college, and one supporting my home baseball team. This situation inspired me to show all the support I can to things that make me the man that I am today. I cannot let some HOA bully try to stop me. Every once in a while I will see that sour man when he comes out of his house and I flash him a kind smile, hoping that he will see the error of his ways. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say that is a lovely turnout for this story, and as usual you would say, all publicity is good publicity. In this case maybe not so good for the old Grinch HOA president, but definitely a positive outcome for the neighborhood. Anyway, if you enjoy the HOA stories, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video if you wanna go the extra mile. Thank you so much in advance, your support is very much appreciated. And the next one was posted by user Annoying Talker on r/Ripe Stories, and it is titled "Fire me because I'm sick, I help someone else who was done wrong." Some details have been changed to avoid problems. I still have not been caught for this. I, 40 female, worked at a high school for over 4 years. My students loved me and I even got some prizes and recognitions. In exchange, I worked very hard for this school, so much so that when I started feeling sick, I still worked while I tried to find out why I was feeling that way. By the middle of one school year, I just could not handle it anymore. The pain was unbearable. Still, I managed to hold on and went to emergencies as soon as the holidays started. Turns out I needed to stay at the hospital and had an emergency procedure done. This took longer than the vacations. I ended up missing 3 months of work. During this time I had kept my direct boss on the loop, even talked to my kids about returning. Few weeks before I came back, I informed my boss that I would be returning early. I was eager to work, but was still slightly weak. Would probably need a few hours a week to go for physical therapy for the rest of the year. First day in, I was not even allowed inside the school and I was fired. It was horrible. My students that saw me come in cried, my co-workers had no idea and were shocked to see me, and were told I left already due to health. I felt extremely angry and betrayed. The labor office in my country offered to get me my job back, but I honestly was just tired and did not fight. They did pay me severance. A few months later, I was a little desperate to find a job, now temporarily disabled, and a friend recommended I help a former student that was going to fail the year. I got to work, came up with a plan to help her with her family. First thing I did was ask the parents to request online access to her grades. They asked the teacher for it. When we got the access, I noticed the password was the default one we were given when I worked there the year before, and I wondered how many people actually changed it. We worked hard to get her to pass the year. In all honesty, she probably would have benefited in failing, but she was working extremely hard. During all this, we were paying close attention to her online grades. She could even fail up to 2 subjects and still get to do make-up exams to pass. So that was our minimum goal. One day her mom and I were watching her grades online and celebrated. She had managed to get the minimum on all but 2 subjects. Those grades were still pending. I took screenshots of everything and sent it to her father so he could see and celebrate from afar. The next morning her mom checked and the grades were all suddenly locked. Smelling a rat, I decided to do something not so nice. In my computer I went online and tried to use the teacher's access with the default password. And it worked. People, change your passwords. The grades had changed by a lot. The girl had failed almost everything. This was seriously impossible since the grades were good just the day before and no other exams were applied. I went to the details of each grade and noticed that a lot had changed. Exams, quizzes, homework and other things with grades on papers we had were the same. But classwork, participation, works well with others, etc. had incredibly low grades, 1 out of 10 and such. As I had worked there, I knew instantly what had happened. They were making sure she would fail the year. Why? Probably because 1, they thought she needed it, and number 2, in my country schools often get rid of low-scoring students before their last year of high school so they can claim they have 100% standardized test success. I knew what had happened, but I also knew I could get in big trouble if anyone found out how I got the info, so I came up with a little white lie. I called the girl's parents and told them a person I knew at the school had tipped me on the situation. I worked there long enough that I even added details I knew must have happened. Details like that the teachers all gathered up at the principal's office to do these changes from her computer. Probably even with a calculator so that they could subtract exactly as much as was needed for the kid to fail. I was even sure which teachers were in on it. We printed the screenshots of the girl's original grades, and with this, the girl's father drove into the school and requested a printed version of the grades as they were in the system right now. Remember, they were locked from our end and I could not show them to anyone without giving myself out. As soon as he got the printouts with the changed grades, he strode into the owner's office and demanded an explanation. The owner had no idea and made up excuses, but ended up requesting some time to figure out the problem at hand. The parents came back to the house where we were waiting while the school scrambled. They later called and claimed that it had been a mistake. But I, admittedly, was out for blood. I remembered that the school uploaded their grades with a software whose main offices were nearby. Could not hurt to try. So I sent the whole family to meet up at these offices, explaining the situation and requesting their help. They gave them a timestamped printed version of who did the changes and from which account. It was the principal's account. All changes at around the same times, one after the other, at the end of the last day of school. Needless to say, heads rolled. The school panicked, they would get sued and changed all the grades back. We just could not save those last 2 subjects that did not have grades when we took screenshots, but my girls studied hard and passed both exams. They were easy. We think they did not want to rock the boat anymore. I got a little scare a while later. Another student called me crying to tell me that my ex-boss was going around telling people I hacked the system. I don't think they knew what I did, but were certain I did something. Unbeknownst to me, my OG student's mom told the other moms the story I told her about my unnamed mole at the school. That helped me get rid of suspicions. A person who was part in my original firing was let go. I do think the owner thought it had been him. Honestly, this was good for him, another story for another time. I managed to get a great opportunity after a few months later, and now 10 years in the future, look at this situation with pride. I may not have gotten my own revenge per se, but was able to help my student in more ways. And I gotta say, Ripe Stars, as some of you might know, I'm also a former teacher, and I gotta applaud OP in this story. It was absolutely amazing reading how he helped his student. And now I'm curious, Ripe Stars, what was your worst subject in school? For me, by far, it was mathematics, and in my final exam I was really happy that I got 1 point out of 15. I remember the teacher came to me and said, "Oh, Mr. Ripe, I'm so sorry that you only got 1 point," and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm really happy about this result. But anyway, let me know about your school experiences in the comments, and now let's continue with the stories. The next one is titled Insane Deal Revenge. Years ago, I was moving cross country and was selling large or heavy items I did not want to move. I listed stuff on Craigslist at fire sale prices. I guessed at what I thought each item would normally move for and priced it at 25 to 50% just to make the process quick. I wanted everything gone by nightfall. Most items went smooth and quick, but as you might imagine, some people are gonna try to take advantage of this situation. I put up a 300-pound weight set with a stand, Olympic bar and curl bar for $50. I got an insane amount of calls even after taking the ad down and immediately knew I had priced too low. The later callers offered much more than $50 to sell to them instead. I told him I would abide by the first caller's deal as long as first caller does. First caller shows up and tries to immediately load the items. "No man, money first and then I will help you load." He pauses and says, "I only have $45, can you do it for that?" It's pretty obvious that he wanted to pull this after it was loaded so he could save $5. After a day of dealing with Craigslist people, I was in no mood for these shenanigans. I explained to him the amount of phone calls and I have a standing offer of $150, small embellishment, and I was planning to do the $50 if he came correct. Since he reopened negotiations, we no longer have a deal and he would now have to beat the $150 offer. He thinks and offers $151, to which I reply that bid increments are $5 and he needs $155 and he needs the cash now because the other offer is ready to go. Wouldn't you know it? He pulls out $155 that he had on him the whole time. I take the money and sit on my couch and turn on the TV. He says, "I thought you were gonna help me load." I replied, "That is part of the first deal. Our renegotiation did not include any help." He huffed and puffed but started loading, huffing and puffing more with each trip. I did end up moving the weights just outside my front door so I could get him out of my sight. The next one is titled Cheating Revenge. In my early 20s, I lived with my ex-boyfriend. I was gullible and believed every word that came out of his mouth. I believed him when he said he worked late hours and came back at 4 AM and made up excuses to keep me from meeting his friends and family and let him isolate me and hide me away. Well, one day his grandmother passed away from natural causes, this is pre-pandemic, and he was devastated, so I asked if he wanted company or to be left alone to grieve. He of course wanted to go alone, and so I let him. I got a call from someone who knew both me and my ex, informing me that he did in fact take his girlfriend to the funeral, but that person was not me. She had been introduced to his family, taken on date after date, and he had played dad for her 1-year-old. My heart sunk right to my feet that day, and so did hers once she found out about me. My friend got us in contact and we talked for hours. We laughed, cried, and in the end decided to dump that man and be friends. He absolutely hated it. We became extremely close after that. I took her to her 21st and drunk set her after she got sick all over me, and we took each other on a date, and even to a concert that her family got tickets for. To this day I have her in my phone as the wife, even though we are both married to wonderful men. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.